Three more Manchester United players out ahead of the Crystal Palace game. Is anybody fit to play, as it just goes from bad to worse at Manchester United? A big positive is a boost on OLISE. Could OLISE be the first transfer at United, and what a deal that could be? Fabrizio Romano confirms interest and a bit more. We have other news on new facilities in United's new injury prevention technique. I was going to say Jim Ratcliffe's, but Jason Wilcox and Teno have been having meetings in the canteen at United to discuss things. Thomas Tuchel speaks out about his situation of Bayern, and then we'll talk about the Palace game, the rumoured lineup, the predicted lineup, and more. So we're going to round up all the latest Manchester United news in 10 minutes for you guys. So please give me your time. Please smash a like. Please smash the subscribe, and let's get into it. Let's start with this opening story by Fabrizio Romano. Manchester United remain one of several clubs in the race for Michael Olise, as release clause in the region of 60 million will be active this summer. The release clause is rumoured to be £55-60 million. People think that Olise will probably go for about £55 million due to injuries. And United are one of several clubs in for Olise. I think Arsenal have watched him, Newcastle watched him, Liverpool have watched him, Chelsea, of course, have watched him. City might be keeping an eye on him. And it said that Ineos are tracking him. They've been tracking him for a while, and Fabrizio Romano is confirming that. He obviously said a couple of months ago that Olise to United is definitely a possibility. They're saying that Man United are well informed on the details, but they are aware of competition. He's one of a few names being monitored. And we do know that United will aim to sign a right winger. Jadon Sancho will leave. Mason Greenwood is believed to leave. Ineos don't particularly rate Anthony. Pulisic will probably go. Right wing is probably a position Manchester United will sign, and we know Olise is someone that Ineos have been watching. We know there's been approaches at Crystal Palace. There's already been initial discussions, according to reports. Olise is a Manchester United fan who reportedly is open to the move. United see Olise as ideal, Premier League proven young domestic talent. Also counts as one of those sort of English players, which ticks up a box as well. So I definitely think this one could happen. It just depends on competition and how much we're willing to pay for him as well, because he's such a talented player. With Olise, I think he's what we need in terms of giving service to our striker. Priority has to be DM and centre-back, but after that, it's got to be right-wing striker. But you need Olise to give service to your striker. He's a pass-first winger. He offers a different dynamic to Rashford and Garnacho. Premier League proven, good output machine, good ball striker, good at set pieces. I think Olise would be a smart deal. There are concerns around Olise's injuries, but he's only ever had one big injury in his career, which has reoccurred this season due to poor management. Hopefully, Ineos next season put people in place to actually improve Man United's whole injury scenario. It was said by Steve Ralston that Harry Maguire has sustained a muscle injury in training that will keep him out for 3 weeks, and that there were 3 scans and late fitness tests ahead of tomorrow's match against Palace. So Maguire's one that's out, but there could be 2 more out or 3 more out ahead of the Palace game who are having late scans or fitness tests. One of those is believed to be Bruno Fernandes. I'm not sure who the other 2 are, probably defenders at this rate as well. Maybe Mason Mount as well could be another one. McTominay could be another one. I think it's Bruno, McTominay, Mason Mount, but I will keep an update on that. Now, I have to say, Manchester United and muscular injuries, some of it's got to be going down to what we're doing in training, maybe lack of fitness coach, some of the medical staff, because when we're getting so many muscular injuries in training, surely, Jason Wilcox is going to pick up on something in training. We know that Manchester United wants to bring in a fitness coach, and Wilcox has been assessing training, and it's surprised we don't have a fitness coach. And while, some injuries are luck, sometimes injuries come down to just poor management of injuries, which has definitely been something United are bad at. The fact that we're picking up so many muscular injuries, particularly in training, is concerning. Some of it may come down to the training regime, and Teno may have to alter that. Some of it will come down to staff, and of course, some of it will come down to luck. But 3 late fitness tests ahead of tomorrow's game as well. That could be 4 players out on top of Maguire. And that could be 4 key players out. Because if you actually look at the players out, Maguire, Brown, Martinez, Lindelof and Kamwala will be out. Evans is a doubt. Malassi and Shaw will be out. And McTominay, Bruno, Mount and Rashford are all doubts. Like, who is even fit to play? And before we know it, we'll probably be told tomorrow, oh, this player's out, that player's out. As long as, we can keep Bruno in and Delo in and Garnacho in and Højlund in, hopefully it's fine. Martial is set to return soon, though, and Johnny Evans is set to return soon. But apparently Johnny Evans and Martial probably aren't fit enough to play against Crystal Palace. But it might be a situation where we, unfortunately, will have to rush Johnny Evans back for that game, because unless we play Jackson and Casemiro at centre-back, we might have to pay 18-year-old Louis Jackson if Johnny Evans is a doubt. In terms of injury prevention, it was said this: Manchester United have suffered horrendously with injuries for some time, and the hope is that the new warm-up area will help lower risks of players picking up costly knocks. And if you're wondering what that is, it was said by Mike Keegan earlier that day that Manchester United are to carry out a major overhaul of Carrington this summer. At the centre of a multi-million-pound redevelopment, there'll be a new pre-activation and player performance zone. It said that United are going to invest in their training facilities, improve the facilities. I mean, Ronaldo, we haven't changed anything in 18 years, so that probably doesn't help injuries. Obviously, you've got the same poor medical staff staying, poor facilities that are behind in terms of recovery. And that's one area that Ineos wants to improve, is making sure we're the best in training to, do anything we can in terms of technology as well as staff to lower injuries and have a new warm-up area. And Jason Wilcox is assessing the intensity of Ten Hag's training and comparing it to what he knows at City to see if there's anything in the leaks that Ten Hag's training could also not help the injury crisis. I want to dive into our next story, which comes down to Ten Hag and Jason Wilcox. As Ty Marshall said, they've been sitting down for breakfast together in the Carrington canteen regularly, and we know that they've had a few chats. We know that Wilcox is sympathetic over the injuries United are struggling and wants to make changes as well. We know that Ten Hag and Wilcox have been planning ahead of next season and we're getting on pretty well, but obviously no decision on Ten Hag's future has been made yet. While he seems to be getting on with Wilcox, you never know, but there's a feeling that Wilcox has sympathy for him because of the injuries he suffered and believes that there is a good manager in Ten Hag, and Ineos do have, a lot of sympathy for Ten Hag. Now, talking of replacing Ten Hag, if Ten Hag is replaced, it would be Thomas Tuchel, and Thomas Tuchel has spoken out about his future, and he said this on his future at Bayern, because obviously people at Bayern are now wanting him back. Those at Bayern want him to come back. Bayern fans wanted to come back, and he said, since we agreed to part ways, Bayern has been looking intensively for a new coach. I'm guessing even before our conversation to part ways, they were probably looking for a new head coach, he suggests. That's bad motivation to then say, let's do it again with you. Now, from my point of view, that's clear. Thomas Tuchel was like, you said you wanted me to go? Okay, I've gone. Now you can't bring in someone that's better than me. All of a sudden you want me back. You're looking for a replacement. Xavi Alonso rejected you. Amorim rejected you. Even Ralph Rangnick rejected you. He's like, nah. I'm not taking you now because everyone else has rejected you. I'm Thomas Tuchel. You can't blame him. Thomas Tuchel's got brains. He's got pride. He's like, no, I'm not going to just come back. And fair enough to Tuchel there. I think he wants the Man United move. I think he's desperate for a move to the Premier League. I don't see Chelsea second potch of how good they've been. I do think the fact that he's not going back to Bayern could be an indication that maybe he has an idea that Man United are going to come for him. I'm not 100% sure. He does put out a lot of information on Man United coming out from Germany. Is that Tuchel's agent pushing for a move to United? I'm not sure, but we do know from Fabrizio Romano and other reliable sources that Tuchel would absolutely want the Manchester United job. Which brings me into the final bit of the show, and we're going to be doing a preview ahead of Manchester United versus Crystal Palace, and we're going to be looking at what could the lineup be. Well, obviously, the easiest position is goalie, because as far as I'm aware, Onana is fine. I think, is Bayindir injured, or is he back now? I think we're going to have to put Wan-Bissaka right back and Delo left back, because Wan-Bissaka's been shambolic at left back lately. I've really been disappointed in some of Wan-Bissaka's recent performances. I thought he was good towards the back end of last season, but this season, obviously, he's missed a few games, but he just hasn't looked right this season. Whether it's been left back or right back, he's not looked good. Like, Delo's been a lot better, and I think because Delo's more comfortable on the ball, he'll stick to the left-hand side. Now, I'm going to leave this as a question here, but this is going to probably be Casemiro here, with, I'm going to say, Jackson as backup. And the reason I'm putting Jackson in there is because if Evans is not fit, I think it's Jackson going in there. Maybe there's a possibility that we see Amrabat here. Maybe there's a possibility we see Amrabat here, but I think he'll probably just do a straight swap Maguire for Evans. McTominay reportedly isn't fit, and if McTominay's not fit, we'll probably see Mount or Eriksen. There's also rumours that Bruno might not be fit, but I feel like I really want to see this midfield free, and I hope Ten Hag goes a bit, but I have a feeling we'll probably see Eriksen instead of Mount, if I'm going to be honest with you. But I'd like to see that Mount, Bruno, Maino midfield free. I think on the right it will be Anthony. Actually, I'd rather see Ahmad myself. But I think Anthony will play on the right. I think Garnacho will play on the left. And I think Højlund will play up top. And there's a potential that Martial could be on the bench. I think the lineup will look something like that. You probably might see Wheatley on the bench again, which would be nice to see. But I think the bench will be very, very thin. But I think we might see something like that for a lineup. I'd like to see Ahmad over Anthony. But other than that, I'd be happy with the lineup considering who is out. There's not loads of options really going forward in terms of that. But let me know your thoughts ahead of the Palace game. I have a feeling Palace are going to win 2-1, but I'm going to predict 2-2 draw. Interesting game away from home. Let me know your score predictions down below in the chat. Of course, guys, please do hit that like button and subscribe if you're new. I will be back tomorrow with some more Manchester United news, doing a live show and all of that, and a watch along. So I'll see you then, and bye.